Before the Airborne update drops, I wanted to take a look at some of the negative Steam reviews Foxhole's gotten over the years, and I wanted to see if any of them still hold up. A lot of these comments get passed around as proof that the game is broken. Today, I'm breaking down the biggest complaints and seeing which ones are myths and which ones still deserve attention. This game used to be good for casual players. Now most of the good vehicles are locked behind facilities. Resource fields are claimed the first day of the war by big clans. Don't waste your time." End quote. I still think the game is great for casual players. A lot of clans build massive facilities that hand out high-end vehicles for free, so casual players can skip the grind and jump straight into the action. It's true though that most resource fields get claimed by big clans early on, but many of them actually keep those areas open for everyone and set up bases nearby to make gathering easier for casual players. I'll be honest, there are still some clans that try and make fields private, but the community usually calls them out fast, and most of the time other players work together to push back against that behavior. Foxhole would be great if it weren't for the wardens being completely OP. Devs are biased, fix your game. End quote. This is one of those classic reviews that's been around for years. Players endlessly arguing over which side is supposedly overpowered. The truth is, both factions have their own strengths and weaknesses, but neither dominates the other. The data backs that up too. Out of all the wars fought, the wardens have won 66, while the colonials have won 61. Players always love to claim that one weapon or vehicle is game-breaking, yet both sides make those same arguments. If you've avoided Foxhole because of balance complaints, ignore the noise. Try it for yourself before believing a 4,000-hour vet who's convinced a single item ruined the game. Combat feels intense, but the tank combat is by far the worst thing I've ever seen. Just two cars driving back and forth for like 30 minutes. End quote. I actually agree with this review, which is why I don't tank very often. I usually have more fun running around as infantry than sitting in a tank. That said, if you're willing to step away from the meta of lining up with other tanks, and don't mind risking your tank, it can still be a blast. Too many players, in my opinion, play it safe and just poke from a distance, but I'd rather find a flank or push hard to get the front moving. It may not be the most meta move, but definitely the most fun. The lag is becoming unbearable, glitching, rubber banding, phasing through the map, not being able to shoot. It seems that the more time goes on, the less playable the game is. End quote. Sometimes the game can get a bit laggy, and you'll occasionally run into glitches or rubber banding, but honestly it's rare enough that it doesn't really affect my overall experience. I remember a war about 5 to 6 months ago where the servers were rough and the rubber banding was pretty bad, but the devs found the issue and fixed it quickly. The same goes for glitches. Whenever something game-breaking pops up, the team is usually on it fast because the ongoing war depends on it. Like any game, bugs happen, but Siege Camp does a solid job keeping things running smoothly. The tutorial is practically non-existent, and the learning curve is really bad. You're dumped in and expected to know dozens of mechanics with no guidance. I was instantly lost and frustrated. End quote. There is a tutorial in Foxhole located in the home region where new players first spawn. It's self-guided, so you have to move through different areas to learn various mechanics. Most of us have been asking Siege Camp for years to streamline it and make it a bit more beginner-friendly. Also, when new players ask for help on Reddit or Discord, they're often given YouTube links instead of proper guidance. With that said, the community does have a lot of friendly players who are happy to teach newcomers. If you simply type in chat that you're new and need help, someone will almost always reach out. To fight against this issue that I see come up time and time again, I started a mentoring program in my Discord, where experienced players can help teach new players the basics. If you're new and want to learn, or a veteran who wants to help out, feel free to join using the link in the description. Foxhole is a cool game. The sad part is the community is not as cool. End quote. Like I mentioned in the last review, there are tons of friendly and helpful players in Foxhole. I'd say the majority of the community is genuinely great, but it's unfortunate when new players run into that small toxic minority before meeting anyone else. This is one of the most common negative reviews I see, and one of my favorite myths to bust. Sometimes players might come off as rude or frustrated just because they're caught up in the chaos of battle. Others are simply there to have fun and keep things lighthearted. The truth is, the first interaction a new player has can really shape their whole experience. There's no easy fix for who someone meets first, but as a community we can all do our part. Be welcoming, check in with low ranks, and offer to help or a squad to join. That's also why I made the Regiment Finder website, to help players connect with like-minded groups based on their interests, playstyle, region, or time zone, and make it easier to find a place to belong. After a dozen hours, everything feels the same. There's not enough new content to keep me coming back. It quickly becomes repetitive. End quote. I'd be really curious to know what this player focused on while playing. Foxhole has so many different roles and activities that it's easy to miss how much variety the game actually offers. One of the challenges, though, is that you have to set your own goals. There are no quests or missions guiding you, so it's up to you to find your purpose. If you are constantly bashing your head against the same front line, It's understandable that you would burn out and end up leaving a review like this. I always recommend switching things up. Try Logi, building, facility work, or even Navy. Personally, I suggest changing roles every 30 to 40 minutes to keep the game feeling fresh and your frustration low. Just not very fun gunplay. Seems like my bullets just go anywhere but the enemy, even when I'm close to them." End quote. Trust me, after 2,000 hours, I still have the same problem as well. Aiming and shooting in Foxhole can be tough, and I wouldn't recommend buying this game if you're only looking for a traditional shooter experience, or plan to focus solely on infantry combat. This game is about much more than just running and gunning. It's a massive interconnected war effort, with tons of roles behind the front lines, just like I explained in the previous review. I repeat, do not buy this game if you love traditional shooter games, and expect to be going onto the battlefield to take out 20 or 30 players at once. You will be extremely disappointed to learn that going out on the battlefield and getting 2 to 3 kills per death is what most of us would consider a good run. If you don't have a job and love being unemployed and joining discords and attending clan trainings, then this is for you. Otherwise it's but. End quote. Most regiments in Foxhole don't have mandatory trainings or scheduled meetings. There are plenty of casual groups that don't mind when you log on or how often you play, and if you happen to join one of the rare regiments that does require strict training sessions, it's easy to leave and find another one that fits your pace better. Most groups I've been in don't demand anything from their members. Showing up to help or joining an operation is always appreciated, but never required. I've even spent whole wars in a regiment just doing my own thing without any issues, so if you've ever avoided the game thinking it's full of sweaty tryhards, don't worry, there are just as many casual players out there doing their own thing and having fun. Wars are ridiculously unbalanced. One faction always snowballs and the other side just melts away. Feels more like a coin flip than any skill-based game. Not fun when you're regularly stuck on the losing side. End quote. There's some truth to the idea that in certain wars it can feel like one side is getting completely steamrolled, and there's not much you can do about it. But even from the losing side, the game can still be a blast. There's something incredible about being backed against the wall with 30 plus teammates, holding off wave after wave of enemy attacks. Some of my favorite battles and wars have actually come from fighting on the losing side. If you stress too much about winning every war, you're setting yourself up for frustration. Winning matters, sure, but losing doesn't have to ruin your experience. I stopped playing this game because people kept throwing commendations at me, giving me unearned and inaccurate rank when I had no idea what I was doing. You should be able to decline or delay promotions. Staff Sergeant Clueless signing off. End quote. This one made me laugh, so I had to share it. It's true that a lot of players end up higher ranks than their actual experience reflects, thanks to how the ranking system works. I'd even say I'm ranked higher than my knowledge of the game sometimes. The important thing to remember is that rank doesn't really matter. There are so many roles in Foxhole that no one expects you to know everything just because of your rank. With that said, I really like this person's idea of being able to decline commands or delay promotions. It would be a cool feature to see, even though I'm not sure how many players would actually use it. Honestly, starting to think no one plays this game. Spent 4 hours going area to area that says high player count, just for these epic battles to be 5v5s. End quote. This player is probably playing on the Charlie server, which the game sometimes defaults for new players in the main menu. Charlie often has a smaller player population, so newer players there don't always get to experience the full-scale battles you'd see on Able. Yes, Charlie does have big fights occasionally, but they're far less frequent than on Able. If you're new, you can check your server from the main menu. Able is generally considered the main server. Feel free to DM me on Discord if you have any questions about it. I've played this game since first released, and it's the worst it's ever been at this point. Too much bias towards one side, and the addition of snipers in this game makes infantry combat cancerous, especially when one side gets a better sniper rifle than the other. Just really unbalanced and broken at the moment. End quote. This is something that can happen with any game that's been around for 5+ years. Updates and new content can change the game enough that some players no longer enjoy it, which is completely understandable. I don't blame people for writing these reviews. The game they loved has simply just evolved. I know plenty of Foxhole players who'd prefer the smaller maps and the days when both factions had the same weapons. I'm sure when planes are introduced, some players might find new issues and decide to leave based on that as well. Can't build bicycles. End quote. It's true, you can't build bicycles in this game, so technically this review isn't wrong. That said, I'm not sure why anyone would buy Foxhole just to build bicycles. The trailers don't even suggest that that's a feature. Plus, bicycles are really easy to find anyway. They spawn in almost every city. The grind for meaningful progression is repetitive and unrewarding. Crafting and Logi feel like busy work. You spend hours only getting tiny gains. There's no satisfying sense of advancement or purpose. End quote. This is all technically true. Crafting and Logi can definitely feel like a chore or busy work at times, and I get that, but there's something about it that I really enjoy. I've tried explaining it in a lot of different ways, but nothing really captures it. The game just hits differently. For me, experiencing it made almost every other regular game feel boring and pointless. I'm not sure how to put it in the right words, honestly, but maybe other Foxhole players can help me describe it in the comments. 70-30 win rate in a game with two factions. Extremely unneeded asymmetry." End quote. Well, this simply just isn't true. As we stated before, at the time of this video, the Wardens have 66 total war victories, and the Colonials have 61. I'm not good at math, but that 70-30 win rate doesn't seem right. Some players just like to claim that the devs favor one faction over the other, and I'm telling you again, that's just not the case. Sniper rifles are too rare in this game. You have to lug it from many bases away, then walk all the way to the front lines. Zzz, boring game. End quote. This kind of mentality goes with the mentality of only playing Foxhole because you like other shooting games. I actually thought this player did a great job explaining the logi loop. Sometimes weapons aren't available at the front, so you need to gather materials, craft the weapons in the back line, and then bring them forward. This is one of the first aspects of the game that really hooked me. I'd hate it if every bunker automatically had weapons without any player involvement. The issue here, I believe, is that this player only enjoyed one part of the game and didn't like engaging with the other systems that made it work. If you're only here to shoot enemies, Foxhole will probably get boring for you pretty quickly. You will be permabanned or temp banned if you use a truck. Don't believe me? Try it yourself. End quote. I gave it a try and have been driving a truck for nearly the entire war without getting banned. What gives? Makes me wonder what happened with this player that led them to leave this review. It's a game made for people that play in clans. Nothing to do if you hop on and play solo, but shoot at enemies then leave. End quote. You can accomplish plenty on your own. I spent over 2,000 plus hours playing mostly solo, and always find something to do beyond just shooting enemies on the front lines. This player, however, gave the game less than 4 hours, and if I had to guess, they likely never ventured beyond the front lines. Full of cheaters ruins the game for me. P.S. It has no anti-cheat. When I was told that, I uninstalled. End quote. There are occasional cases of cheating, like night hacks or aim hacks, but those players are dealt with very quickly. In my time of playing Foxhole, I've probably only run into cheaters maybe 2 or 3 times. Even when it happens, it's never enough to win the entire war, though it can make that single front frustrating for a while until it's addressed. But overall, it doesn't even affect the little battles. Not for me. Sounds cool, but is poorly executed. End quote. Foxhole definitely isn't for everyone. Just like games such as EVE Online, they're built in a unique way and don't follow the standard formulas of games like Battlefield or Call of Duty. These are the reviews that I respect the most. These players gave the game a fair shot and simply decided it wasn't for them, and that's completely fine. Of course, all of these players in the reviews are entitled to their opinions and experiences, and I'm not trying to invalidate that. I'm just sharing my perspective and responding to their feedback based on my time playing the game. Currently, Foxhole's Steam reviews sit at very positive, and like any game, there will always be some complaints. I hope this video helps clear up some confusion around negative reviews so that you can have a more informed decision about whether Foxhole is right for you. I would also recommend don't take what I say as absolute proof. Again, this is just my experience playing the game, and it won't be the same for everyone. We all experience the game differently and have our own feelings about it. Overall, I love this game and the community around it. If you've heard any negative myths about Foxhole, drop them in the comments, and I might share my thoughts on them from my own experience. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support. Make sure to subscribe for more Foxhole content. I'll see you out on the battlefield. Cheers.